Welcome to the sixth series on Broken. I have here a battery. From the outside it doesn't look too much really, but it contains power. Power to run a torch, power to give you light, power to run a toothbrush to clean your teeth, power to run a little fan when you're feeling hot. It may only be small, but it can have a big impact, but it depends how you channel this power. It can make a big difference to either bringing hope, warmth, relief, or bringing pain. For example, if you shine the torch in someone's eyes, they won't like it, or they won't like you either. Run the fan too close to someone's face, and it acts like an abrupt shaver, and they won't like you either for that. You see, each of us has power to help, power to heal, to calm, to nurture, to reassure, to teach, to comfort. But each of us also has power to hate, to harm, to belittle, to neglect, to patronise. How we use our power can make a huge difference. And so in this video, we're going to look at the concept of broken power. And so when we look at our political landscape at the moment, people in power, we can see some who call out to help the most vulnerable in our community, who call out injustice and take steps to rectify it. It's those who use their position to bring others up, to bring hope to others. But we can also see those that lie and cheat and bully in order to maintain their position of power, those who look after their own political or monetary interests at the expense of the weakest. So whether we look at our politicians or at people in general, we can see that broken power is evident. So let's look at our Bible passage today to see if it can help. So our reading is from Matthew chapter 2 verses 1 to 18. It's traditionally a story told at Christmas time about the Magi, otherwise known as the wise men, coming to visit the baby Jesus. But I think it has something to teach us about power, about how one character used it in a broken way and how the Magi used it differently. So here it is, Matthew chapter 2 verses 1 to 18. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem, in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him." After they'd heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasure and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. When they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. "Get up," he said, "take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child and kill him." So he got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and left for Egypt, where he stayed until the death of Herod. And so was fulfilled what the Lord had said through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I called my son." When Herod realised that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learnt from the Magi. Then what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. Now, as we said, this passage is a Christmas story passage, and we have a definite pantomime villain in the person of Herod. Herod was the king of Israel, but his kingdom was fragile. The Romans had invaded and conquered Israel, and he was effectively a puppet king, allowed to rule under Roman authority, and provided he didn't rock the boat, he could remain in power. And now there was all this rumour of a new king, one foretold. Now they say that you can tell a lot about someone when they're under pressure. So what do we see here about Herod and his power? Well, we see it's broken and it's dangerous. You see, broken power is self-interested. What you see here is Herod is disturbed, he's deceptive, and he seeks to destroy. 3 Ds. So in verse 3, we see he's disturbed. It says, when King Herod heard this, he was disturbed. And then it says, and all Jerusalem with him. His disturbance was so much that it affected all of Jerusalem. You can imagine him in a right mood and a right strop, and everyone in the vicinity is catching on to that mood of disturbance. You see, this is an indicator that your power is broken, that success or power of others disturbs you. You can't cope with others being powerful. Then we see deceptive in verse 7. Herod says to the wise men, go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him. Herod had no intent of worshipping him. This was deception to get them on his side. You see, what you find is good leaders will lift people up and bad leaders will push people down. A good leader knows that you gain respect and authority of others by helping others to achieve great things. Bad leaders like to feel above others, and so pushing them down means that they still feel on top. However, they've not actually risen any higher. They've just pushed people lower down. But a good leader knows that when you raise people up to a higher position, then these people will still place you as a leader, which is in fact even higher than them. So in fact, you've risen as a result of helping others to rise. But Herod couldn't risk someone being bigger than him, and so he chose to pretend to be on side, pretending to be one thing but undermining. This is broken power too. And then we see the destroy in him. Verse 16, when Herod realised he'd been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under. In his anger and his fury, he seeks to destroy, and this really is broken power. He's so intent on pushing down the one person that he's prepared to kill countless others too in the process. Broken power will take anyone out that stops it from maintaining power. So this passage teaches us a lot about broken power, but we just look at that on its own, it can be quite depressing. Is there any examples here of good power? Well, I think we see some of it in the Magi. You see, the Magi were wise men, thinkers, studiers of the stars. It's very possible that they were likely to be priests from the Persian Zoroastrian religion. They believed in one God, and they also believed in the importance of studying the stars to get kind of information from God. And they came looking to find the important person at the end of this very special star that they'd followed. And when they came across him, we see a very different response with their power. You see, they were wise men. They had authority in their thinking. But what we see from them is that they recognise, they respect, and they do the right thing. First of all, in verse 10, we see them recognise. They recognised him and were pleased for him. No interest in their own authority, just pleased to interact. It says when they saw the star, they were overjoyed. And in verse 11, we see respect. It tells us they worshipped him. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary. They bowed down and they worshipped him. And then in verse 12, they did the right thing. Having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. You see, it's very easy when there's a negative power in the room or in the organisation you work for or in the group you belong to. It's very easy to align yourself to that negative power. But they had wisdom and integrity and so knew the right thing to do. Use their position, their power for good. Their response in their power was to show respect to the other power, not to challenge it or to demean it like Herod, but to recognise and respect, to do the right thing. So what we have here is broken power is disturbed. It gets unsettled. It's deceptive. It will do anything it can to remain hold of power, and it will seek to destroy, to bring others down, whether they're caught in the crossfire or not. Good power recognises the positive power that they're in the presence of. It respects others and it does the right thing, the honourable thing. And each of us has the power to influence those around us. And so what do you see yourself doing? You see, who do we align ourselves to, either politically or in the workplace or our friends? What do they show? Is it disturbed, deceptive and destroying? Or does it recognise, respect and do the right thing? The danger of aligning ourselves with people who are disturbed by others' authority and are deceptive and seek to push people down is that we can be associated with that behaviour and it can in fact rub off on us. The Magi knew to stick clear of someone like Herod. His power was broken. Now, earlier on in the series, we introduced the phrase, what if the God who was broken and loves the broken calls us the broken to bring hope to the broken? So each of us has power, and we need to use it to bring hope to the broken. Honesty, authenticity, integrity are crucial, looking to see where we can bring hope to the broken. So let's review this theme with some questions and examine how we use our power.